Hello friend, so glad you're here tonight. Get comfortable, pull the covers up, and let the day loosen its grip. There's nowhere else you need to be. Before we begin, a small request. Most of the people listening tonight aren't subscribed. If this channel has ever helped you drift off, take a moment to subscribe and tap the like button on tonight's video. Both are free, they take 2 seconds and they help this channel more than you'd think. And you can always change your mind later. And if you feel like it, leave a comment telling me where in the world you're listening from and what time it is where you are. I love reading them. Did you know that one of America's most influential financial institutions, Discover Financial Services, was actually founded in the middle of the Cold War? The company, which offers personal loans, home equity loans, savings products, transaction accounts, student loans, identity protection, and credit cards, began its journey not as an independent entity, but as part of Sears, Roebuck and Company's expanding empire. In 1981, Sears made a significant acquisition by purchasing the Dean Witter Reynolds brokerage firm. This move set the stage for what would become Discover Financial Services. But the story doesn't stop there. In 1985, Sears made another critical acquisition. They bought Greenwood Trust Company. That same year, something extraordinary happened. Sears introduced the Discover card, a card that would revolutionize the way Americans paid for goods and services. Imagine this. Before the Discover card, most credit cards were only accepted at a limited number of retailers. The introduction of the Discover card changed that. Suddenly, consumers had more options and greater convenience. But here's where things get even more interesting. The Discover card wasn't just about making purchases easier, it was also part of a larger strategy to diversify Sears' business portfolio. By offering personal loans, home equity loans, and other financial services, Discover Financial Services began to grow into a significant player in the financial world. As the years passed, Discover Financial Services expanded its reach even further by acquiring Pulse, an electronic funds transfer network, in 2005. So, by the end of this chapter, you'll understand not just how Discover Financial Services came to be, but also why its rise was so significant in the context of a world shaped by unseen tensions and political maneuvers. The man's name is Ray Kennedy Sr., and he's no stranger to innovation. He's the father of country singer Ray Kennedy, but more importantly, he's the visionary behind a new kind of credit card that promises to upend the way we shop. One more thing before we begin. I'm also a co-founder of a sleep app, built to be the most affordable one out there. No ads, ever. Just sounds and stories made to help you sleep. It may not be released yet as this video goes up, but if you're watching a little later, it might be out by now. It's called Dozly, and the link is in the description. It works on iPhone, Android, and everything in between. Downloading it is the best way to support this channel. This is no ordinary credit card. It's called Discover Card, and it comes with a host of groundbreaking features. No annual fee, no late fees for the first late payment, and an increased credit limit right off the bat, all unheard of advantages in the world of finance at the time. But what makes this day truly remarkable is not just the card itself, but the first transaction that takes place with it. It's a small purchase, just $26.77, but it marks the beginning of something bigger than anyone could have imagined. As Ray Kennedy Sr. watches this historic moment unfold, he knows that the future of credit cards is about to be rewritten. The Discover card is not just a new product, it's a new way of thinking about how we manage our money and make purchases. But there's still so much more to come. This is just the beginning, and as we move forward, we'll see how Discover Card evolves, grows, and changes not only the way we shop, but also the entire financial landscape. As the years pass and more people adopt this revolutionary new card, it becomes clear that September 17, 1985 was not just an ordinary day in Atlanta, but a turning point in American financial history. And with that realization, we can't help but wonder, what other seemingly ordinary days hold such extraordinary significance? What other moments in time have quietly shaped the world as we know it today? As we drift off to sleep, let these thoughts settle like a soft blanket over us, inviting us to dream about the unexpected ways in which our world is constantly being reshaped around us. In the year 1947, amidst the tense aftermath of World War II, the United States government created an agency to gather intelligence and conduct espionage operations. This agency, named the Central Intelligence Agency or CIA, was a response to the growing ideological conflict between the US and the Soviet Union. The global landscape was ripe for ideological conflict as World War II ended in 1947. Espionage, once a tool used sparingly, became a vital necessity as the Cold War took shape. Throughout this period, which lasted from 1947 to 1991, the CIA played a crucial role as the primary conduit for intelligence gathering. Intelligence gathering was not just an option, it was a necessity to navigate the complex and dangerous waters of the Cold War. As the United States confronted a totalitarian Soviet Union, every piece of information became crucial in understanding their opponent's capabilities and intentions. The CIA, established just a year after World War II ended, became the front line in this battle of wits and knowledge. Before the end of the Cold War in 1991, there were only 3 directors of Central Intelligence who were career intelligence officers. By the time Robert Gates took over as director in November 1991, the Cold War was winding down, but the importance of the CIA's role in espionage remained unchanged. In this complex and shifting landscape, the CIA's role was not just to gather information, but to interpret it in a way that could guide critical decisions. Understanding this context, we can delve deeper into the stories of American spies who navigated these treacherous waters. In the year 1951, 2 ordinary Americans were convicted of a crime that would shake the nation to its core. Julius and Ethel Rosenberg were found guilty of conspiracy to commit espionage. Their story was far more complex than it appeared. Before the trial, there was an intense search for evidence that could confirm their guilt or innocence. One crucial piece of information came from a top-secret project known as VENONA. Initially shrouded in mystery, the decrypts from this project would shed light on the extent of Soviet spying activities during World War II. What secrets did these decrypts hold, and how did they implicate the Rosenbergs? Tonight, we delve into the intricate web of espionage and covert operations that shaped the American experience during the Cold War. The VENONA project began in 1946, an initiative to decrypt Soviet diplomatic and intelligence communications. This clandestine effort was crucial in unveiling the full extent of Soviet espionage during a time when tensions between the United States and the Soviet Union were at an all-time high. The decrypts from VENONA would become pivotal in understanding the Rosenbergs' involvement in espionage activities. Julius and Ethel Rosenberg were not strangers to scrutiny. Born on May 12, 1918, Julius was a dedicated activist with strong sympathies for the Soviet Union, particularly during its alliance with the United States against Germany in World War II. His wife Ethel, born September 28, 1915, shared his political views, and together they became entangled in a web of espionage activities. Their involvement would have severe consequences. The trial of the Rosenbergs was intense and highly publicized. In 1951, they were convicted of conspiracy to commit espionage, a crime that would ultimately lead to their execution by electrocution on June 19, 1953. The VENONA project's decrypts played a critical role in solidifying the evidence against them. As the trial unfolded, so did the tension surrounding covert operations during this period of heightened political maneuvers and unseen tensions. The consequences of espionage were severe, as demonstrated by the Rosenbergs' fate. Their execution marked a stark reminder of the high stakes involved in covert operations during the Cold War era. As we continue to explore this intricate web of secrets and lies, it becomes clear that the actions of the Rosenbergs were just one piece of a much larger puzzle. As we delve deeper into this intricate story of espionage and covert operations, it becomes evident that the Rosenberg case is just one chapter in a much larger narrative. The Cold War was rife with political maneuvers and unseen tensions shaped by covert actions that would leave lasting impacts on the American experience. Before tonight is over, you will understand how the Rosenberg case fits into this broader landscape of political intrigue and covert operations. The severe consequences of their actions serve as a stark reminder of the high stakes involved in a world shaped by secrets and lies. Tonight, we stand on the precipice of understanding one of history's most intricate and consequential stories of espionage and covert operations. As we continue to unravel this tale, you will discover how these actions shaped the American experience during the Cold War era. In April 1954, a figure known for his relentless anti-communist stance took center stage in Washington, D.C., drawing the eyes of nearly 20 million Americans each day. This was not your average political drama. It was the Army McCarthy Hearings, a spectacle that would redefine fear and suspicion in America's collective consciousness. At the heart of these hearings was Senator Joseph McCarthy, a man whose aggressive stance against communism would leave an indelible mark on American history. Born in Wisconsin and elected as a U.S. Senator, McCarthy rose to prominence with his infamous claim that he held a list of 205 communists working within the U.S. government. As the hearings unfolded, they exposed the dark underbelly of McCarthyism, a term coined after Senator Joseph McCarthy himself, encapsulating the era's paranoia and witch hunts. The hearings would ultimately mark the peak and decline of McCarthyism, casting a long shadow over American politics. By the end of 1954, the tide had turned against McCarthy. His once powerful grip on American fear and suspicion began to slip away. But the legacy of these hearings lingered, creating a climate of fear and mistrust that would continue to shape American life for years to come. This operation was so large-scale that it allegedly involved prominent news organizations such as the New York Times, CBS, and Time Inc. The goal of Operation Mockingbird was to interpret world situations in a way that would be most advantageous for the United States and its allies during the Cold War. It was believed that Frank Wisner, one of the key figures involved in this operation, was tasked with coordinating these activities. The exact nature and extent of Operation Mockingbird's influence remained largely hidden from public view until a series of revelations began to surface. In 1977, journalist Carl Bernstein published an article in Rolling Stone that alleged CIA involvement with journalists and media outlets. Bernstein's article was a significant turning point, as it brought attention to the alleged manipulation of domestic media by intelligence agencies. The term Operation Mockingbird itself was first used in 1979 to describe this alleged CIA media manipulation program. The mid-1990s saw an acknowledgement by the CIA that some of these practices had indeed continued through the Cold War era. This revelation bridged the gap between the historical context of Operation Mockingbird and modern concerns about media manipulation. As you drift off to sleep tonight, consider how the power dynamics of that era continue to shape our understanding of media and information today. In the shadowed era of the Cold War, a clandestine program was born that would forever alter our understanding of human control and manipulation. The year was 1950, and under the auspices of the Central Intelligence Agency, a project known as MK Ultra emerged from the shadows. This program, shrouded in secrecy and controversy, would grow to encompass at least 149 sub-projects spread across roughly 80 institutions. Among these were universities, prisons, and mental hospitals, places where the boundaries of human behavior could be pushed to their limits. MK Ultra was no ordinary endeavor. It represented a desperate attempt by US intelligence agencies to gain the upper hand in the covert war against their Soviet counterparts. The CIA, in its fervent quest for control, employed a multitude of techniques to explore methods of mind control and behavioral manipulation. The human subjects of these experiments were unwitting participants in a grand scheme that sought to unlock the secrets of the mind. Mental hospitals, among other institutions, became laboratories where the boundaries of human consciousness were probed and pushed. The ethics of these experiments remain a subject of intense debate. As the Cold War raged on, the US government feared that Soviet, Chinese, and North Korean agents were employing similar methods to gain a psychological edge. The The lengths to which intelligence agencies went in their quest for control and information during this period hint at the broader ethical implications of these actions. The pursuit of power, it seems, can often lead us down a dark path. In Washington, D.C., hearings were held that would shed light on some of the most controversial aspects of MKUltra. But by then, it was already too late to undo what had been done. As the Cold War faded into history, the legacy of MKUltra lingered as a chilling reminder of the lengths to which governments will go in their quest for control. The Cold War was fought not just on the battlefield, but also in the shadows. Proxy wars became a means for both superpowers to exert influence without direct confrontation. American propaganda, one of the key tools in this arsenal, aimed to sway global public opinion and weaken Soviet support. The United States employed a variety of tactics under the umbrella of American propaganda. One notable example was Operation Mockingbird, an alleged CIA program designed to manipulate domestic media organizations for propaganda purposes. But covert operations went beyond mere propaganda. The CIA's MKUltra program, for instance, delved into the dark arts of mind control and behavioral modification. Spread across nearly 80 institutions, including universities and prisons, this program aimed to unlock the secrets of human psychology. The CIA conducted experiments on unwitting subjects using a range of methods, from drugs like LSD to sensory deprivation techniques. The true extent of these operations and their long-term effects remain shrouded in mystery. Power dynamics during the Cold War were shaped not just through espionage, but also through covert operations and global influence campaigns. As we delve deeper into this era, you'll begin to see how these shadowy tactics molded the world as we know it today. But for now, let's pause and take a breath. The next chapter will reveal more about how these proxy wars and global power dynamics unfolded in the complex dance of international relations. In the shadowy vacuum left by the end of World War II, a new battlefield emerged. Espionage operations, shrouded in secrecy and deception, became the silent battleground of the Cold War. The Soviet Union began its covert efforts against the United States as early as the 1920s. Long before the Cold War was officially declared, spies were already at work. Declassified evidence has revealed that these agents operated undetected within American borders for decades. Their activities have cast a long shadow over the political landscape of our nation. Benjamin Tromley, author of Cold War Exiles and the CIA, Plotting to Free Russia, published by Oxford University Press in 2019, delves into the intricate web of these clandestine operations. His work sheds light on how the CIA and other intelligence agencies navigated this treacherous terrain, employing strategies that are as fascinating as they are chilling. But these secret maneuvers were not just confined to intelligence agencies. Both superpowers engaged in proxy wars, using third-party nations as pawns in their ideological chess match. As we dive deeper into these covert operations, one thing becomes clear. The legacy of espionage during the Cold War is a tangled web of power, fear, and control that continues to resonate today. By the end of this journey, you'll understand why these silent battles are not just relics of the past, but a fundamental part of our ongoing story. July 24, 2021, a single Airbus. A 330 takes off into the clear blue sky, marking the beginning of Discover Airlines' journey. But this isn't just any flight. It's the birth of a brand new chapter in the history of aviation. What if I told you that this airline, born out of the legacy of covert operations and political maneuvers, would soon be flying to destinations that might surprise even seasoned travelers? Punta Cana, Windhoek, Victoria Falls, each one a testament to how far we've come. But the story doesn't start with Eurowings Discover. It begins in the shadows of history, woven into the fabric of American experience. In 2021, as Discover Airlines began its maiden voyage, a different kind of discovery was taking place. The airline's parent company, Lufthansa Group, had just launched Eurowings Discover to bring its signature service to new horizons. What made this venture so intriguing wasn't just the novelty, it was the echoes of history embedded within it. But it wasn't just about consumer finance, it was also about the power of names. The word discover carried a certain allure, evoking images of adventure and exploration. Fast forward to 2021, as Discover Airlines embarks on its first flight. The same spirit of adventure and uncharted territory is alive in this new venture. As the Airbus A330 soars through the sky, it's not just transporting passengers, it's carrying forward a tradition of bold ventures and hidden opportunities. But there's more to this story than meets the eye. The airline, with its roots extending across continents, is a modern reflection of the covert operations and political machinations that have long shaped American experience. In an era where every flight is a journey into the unknown, Discover Airlines stands as a testament to our enduring spirit of exploration and discovery. So buckle up and get ready for takeoff. This isn't just any flight. It's the next chapter in a tale as old as America itself. A tale of discovery, adventure, and the unseen forces that guide us. And who knows, the destinations yet to be discovered might just surprise you. In August 1961, a man named Greville Wynne was captured by the East German Stasi as he attempted to cross into West Berlin. Wynne was no ordinary tourist. He was a spy for MI6 and the CIA, working undercover in the shadowy world of Cold War espionage. His arrest would set off a chain of events that tested the resolve of American intelligence agencies and shone a spotlight on the newly erected Berlin Wall. Before tonight is over, you'll discover just how high the stakes were and why the wall's construction marked a crucial turning point in the Cold War's covert operations. The Berlin Wall, a stark symbol of ideological division, was more than just a physical barrier. It was a labyrinth of surveillance and espionage. For American spies, the challenges multiplied as the East German authorities ratcheted up their vigilance. The CIA's efforts to monitor activities in East Germany became increasingly complex and perilous. Amid this tense atmosphere, the CIA launched Operation Gold, aiming to tunnel beneath the wall to create a secret escape route for East Germans seeking freedom. Despite the formidable obstacles, the operation succeeded in 1972, allowing over 24 people to flee to the west. Another notable operation was Bumblebee, initiated in 1976. This involved a daring attempt to snatch a high-ranking East German official from a West Berlin park in broad daylight. Although the operation ultimately failed due to unforeseen circumstances, it highlighted the lengths to which American intelligence agencies were willing to go. These covert actions underscored the significance of espionage during the Cold War and the critical role played by the CIA in maintaining a presence behind the Iron Curtain. However, the wall's construction marked an inflection point, necessitating even more sophisticated and dangerous strategies. Spies faced not only the constant threat of capture, but also the psychological toll of operating in such a high-stakes environment. As the years passed and tensions escalated, it became clear that the wall was more than just a physical divide. It was a powerful symbol of the ideological struggle that would shape the course of history. Before we dive into the next chapter, take a moment to appreciate the intricate dance of espionage that unfolded in the shadows of the Berlin Wall. In October 1962, the world held its breath. A U-2 spy plane, flying high above Cuba, captured images of Soviet nuclear missiles being positioned just 90 miles off the coast of Florida. This was not a drill. It was the Cuban Missile Crisis, one of the most dangerous moments in history. As the pictures were rushed to President Kennedy's desk, the fate of millions hung in the balance. Behind the scenes, a tense game of cat and mouse was being played out. The CIA had been running reconnaissance missions over Cuba for months, but this was the first clear evidence of Soviet nuclear weapons in the region. Kennedy, faced with an unprecedented threat, turned to his closest advisors and the CIA for guidance. The stakes were high. A misstep could lead to nuclear war. Yet, in the midst of this crisis, Kennedy remained calm and focused. The CIA's intelligence proved crucial as Kennedy navigated a delicate diplomatic dance with the Soviet Union. While public attention was riveted on the crisis, behind the scenes, back-channel negotiations were underway. These talks, conducted in secret, allowed Kennedy and Soviet leader Khrushchev to find a path towards de-escalation without losing face. The world watched as the crisis unfolded, unaware of the intricate web of diplomacy that was quietly keeping the peace. But even as the tension eased, the unseen tensions that had brought the world to the brink remained. The Cuban Missile Crisis was a stark reminder of the hidden forces that shape our history. In August 1953, in a quiet Tehran street, Prime Minister Mohammad Mossadegh stepped out of his car. Unbeknownst to him, the CIA had orchestrated an elaborate plan called Operation Ajax to remove him from power. The reasons behind this daring covert operation are as intriguing as they are consequential. The CIA's main goal was to secure Iran's oil reserves for the United States and its allies. Key figures involved in this operation include Kermit Roosevelt, grandson of President Theodore Roosevelt. Roosevelt played a crucial role in coordinating the coup by training and supporting local dissidents and military officers. The long-term impacts of this operation are stark. The success of Operation Ajax led to the installation of Shah Mohammad Reza Pahlavi, whose pro-Western policies aligned with US interests. However, the Shah's rule was marked by repression and eventually led to widespread discontent among Iranians. This discontent culminated in the Islamic Revolution of 1979, overthrowing the Shah and establishing an Islamic Republic. The aftermath of Operation Ajax continues to influence US-Iran relations today, highlighting the far-reaching consequences of political maneuvers during the Cold War. By understanding this pivotal moment in history, we can appreciate how covert operations and political tensions shape global power dynamics. This is just one example of how the intricate web of Cold War politics weaves into the fabric of our world today. In the early 1960s, amidst the frosty tension of the Cold War, a daring plan was hatched within the hallowed walls of the CIA's headquarters. The objective: to oust Fidel Castro and his communist regime from Cuba. Codenamed Operation Pluto, it envisioned a bold and covert invasion of Cuba by American-trained Cuban exiles. This was the CIA's answer to the growing communist influence in the Western Hemisphere. The plan seemed feasible on paper, but the CIA's calculations were riddled with missteps and misjudgments. They underestimated Castro's grip on power and overestimated the support for the exiles among Cubans. The invasion began with a preemptive strike by the CIA-trained Cuban exiles on April 15, 1961. They aimed to take out Castro's air force before it could intervene. The exiles believed that the element of surprise would work in their favor. However, they faced immediate resistance from the Cuban military. The CIA's intelligence had indicated that Castro's forces were weak and ill-equipped, but in reality, they were well prepared and determined to defend their revolution. The main invasion force landed at the Bay of Pigs on April 17. Instead of a warm welcome from fellow Cubans, they were met with fierce resistance. The CIA had failed to secure necessary air cover for the exiles, a crucial oversight that left them vulnerable. Despite valiant efforts, the invasion force was no match for Castro's army. By April 19, they were forced to surrender. The Bay of Pigs invasion was a humiliating defeat for the CIA and the United States. The failure highlighted critical intelligence lapses and misjudgments by the CIA, which had lasting implications for US-Cuba relations and broader Cold War strategies. As the dust settled from this botched operation, a chilling reality emerged: espionage failures could have far-reaching political consequences. In the spring of 1975, the US Senate launched a secret inquiry into the covert activities of American intelligence agencies. Known as the Church Committee, this investigation delved into the shadowy world of spycraft and propaganda. By the end of tonight's story, you will understand how unseen tensions during the Cold War led to significant reforms that shaped US policies for decades to come. The Church Committee was named after its chairman, Senator Frank Church of Idaho. He and his colleagues aimed to shed light on clandestine operations that had long been shrouded in secrecy. Among the committee's key findings were revelations of illegal spying activities conducted by the CIA and FBI. These included wiretapping and mail interception targeting American citizens. In response to these shocking discoveries, the Church Committee recommended significant reforms aimed at curbing the power of intelligence agencies. These included establishing stricter oversight mechanisms and prohibiting certain covert activities. The long-term effects of these reforms were profound. They led to the establishment of permanent congressional committees dedicated to intelligence oversight, ensuring that such abuses would not go unchecked in the future. Moreover, the Church Committee's work raised public awareness about the dangers of unregulated intelligence activities and the importance of transparency in a democratic society. At its core, the Church Committee's investigation revealed how unseen tensions between the desire for national security and the need to protect civil liberties can drive powerful nations into ethical grey areas. Understanding this balance is crucial as we navigate an increasingly complex world, where the line between national defence and personal freedom can often blur. Tonight, you've seen how a hidden inquiry into intelligence activities during the Cold War shaped American policies and attitudes for generations to come. As we continue our exploration of American history, it is essential to remember that the stories that shape our world are often those that remain hidden from view. For now, let's take a moment to rest and reflect on the subtle forces that guide our nation's trajectory. This is not just any nickel. It's been carefully crafted to hide a microscopic message. The process begins with a thin sheet of gold foil, barely the width of a human hair. This foil is then pressed into the hollow cavity of a nickel, creating an almost imperceptible space. A tiny microdot, smaller than the period at the end of this sentence, is carefully placed within the cavity. The hollow nickel now looks like any other coin, yet it conceals a message of critical importance. When received, the microdot is extracted and enlarged under a microscope. The magnified image reveals encoded information that could be anything from a map of troop movements to a blueprint for a new weapon. These tiny messengers were instrumental in the early years of the Cold War, when every piece of intelligence could tip the balance. As the conflict deepened and technology advanced, more sophisticated methods emerged, but the humble, hollow nickel remained a potent symbol of covert operations. It was not just the technique that mattered, it was also the ingenuity and tenacity of those involved in these dangerous games of espionage. And so we return to our original question: what makes the hollow nickel so extraordinary? It's not just about the cleverness of its design, but also about the story it tells, a tale of secrecy, ingenuity, and the high stakes of the Cold War. In the sweltering jungles of Vietnam, during a war that would claim thousands of lives, a clandestine CIA program began to unfold. Known as the Phoenix program, this covert operation aimed to dismantle the Viet Cong's infrastructure through a series of targeted assassinations and interrogations. Unlike traditional military operations, the Phoenix program operated under a veil of secrecy, utilizing unconventional tactics that were as cunning as they were ruthless. The program's methods included the systematic use of interrogations and assassinations to eliminate suspected Viet Cong sympathizers. The Phoenix program's impact on the war effort was significant, but it also cast a long shadow over public opinion in both Vietnam and the United States. In the end, the true extent of the program's activities remained shrouded in controversy and speculation. What is clear, however, is that covert operations like the Phoenix program played a crucial role in shaping the political maneuvers of the Cold War era. As we delve deeper into the intricacies of this secretive program, one question lingers: how did such a clandestine operation influence the broader scope of American foreign policy and public sentiment? In the spring of 1920, Attorney General A. Mitchell Palmer ordered massive raids across more than 30 cities in America, targeting thousands of suspected communists. This sweeping action, later known as the Palmer Raids, marked a turning point in the history of anti-communist sentiment in the United States. These raids were unprecedented in scope and scale, with federal agents rounding up anyone suspected of having ties to communist organizations. The public reactions ranged from fear to relief, as the raids seemed to signify a decisive crackdown on the perceived threat. More than 10,000 people were arrested during these raids, many of whom were held without charge for extended periods. the legal implications of these actions were significant, leading to a series of challenges and criticisms. Critics argued that the raids violated civil liberties and targeted innocent individuals based on little more than suspicion. This period of heightened anti-communist sentiment had a lasting impact, shaping American society's approach to political dissent and civil rights. Despite the initial public support for the raids, the legal fallout exposed deep-seated tensions within American society. The actions highlighted the delicate balance between national security and individual freedoms, a tension that would continue to define the Cold War era. As unseen tensions simmered beneath the surface, public sentiment began to shift. People started questioning the extent of government power and the erosion of civil liberties. The Palmer raid served as a wake-up call, igniting debates about the limits of government authority in times of perceived crisis. The episode underscored how covert operations and political maneuvers could profoundly shape American society. And as the echoes of the raids faded, it became clear that the early waves of anti-communist sentiment had left an indelible mark on the American experience. Before the night is over, you will understand how these unseen tensions and political maneuvers have shaped the very fabric of American society during the Cold War era. As the Cold War raged, battles were fought not just on land and sea, but also in the shadows of secrecy. In this era of espionage and covert operations, codebreaking played a crucial role. Welcome to the Cryptology Wars, Codebreaking and Cold War espionage. At the heart of this secret conflict stood William F. Friedman, a pioneer in cryptography and the father of modern American codebreaking. Friedman's work laid the groundwork for one of the most significant intelligence breakthroughs of the 20th century. By 1946, cryptanalysts had begun to make significant progress in decrypting these messages, revealing the identities of numerous Soviet spies operating within the US. The VENONA project's success underscored the importance of cryptology in intelligence gathering and covert operations during this era of global tension. As the Cold War continued, code-breaking techniques evolved, reflecting the ever-changing landscape of espionage and intelligence gathering. The art of cryptology was not merely about breaking codes, but also about navigating the intricate web of diplomatic and military communications. In the dark heart of World War II, a secretive organization was formed to carry out covert operations and gather intelligence behind enemy lines. This group, known as the Office of Strategic Services (OSS), would lay the foundation for America's modern intelligence apparatus. The OSS operated in Europe and Asia, often in conjunction with local resistance movements, to disrupt enemy operations and gather vital information. One of their most daring exploits was the infiltration of German-occupied territories to collect intelligence on enemy activities and sabotage critical infrastructure. In Asia, the OSS worked closely with local forces to disrupt Japanese supply lines and communication networks, significantly hindering their war efforts. These covert actions were critical in shaping the outcome of the war, setting a precedent for future intelligence operations. As the war drew to a close, the United States recognized the need for a permanent intelligence agency to continue gathering vital information and protecting national interests. In the spring of 1960, a sleek Lockheed U-2 spy plane was shot down over Soviet airspace. The pilot, Francis Gary Powers, was captured, and the world watched in disbelief as the Cold War reached a boiling point. Tonight, we'll uncover the true story behind this pivotal moment and how it shaped the American experience during the Cold War. The U-2 incident, as it came to be known, was a dramatic escalation of covert operations and political maneuvers between the United States and the Soviet Union. Francis Gary Powers, an experienced pilot in the CIA's secret U-2 program, was tasked with gathering intelligence from high-altitude flights over Soviet territory. On May 1st, his mission seemed to be going as planned until, without warning, the U-2 was struck by a surface-to-air missile. The missile detonated, and Powers' plane began to plummet towards the Earth. He managed to parachute out of the wreckage just in time. But his escape would be short-lived. Powers was captured by Soviet authorities and put on trial, where he confessed to spying activities. The U-2 incident set off a chain reaction of events that brought the world to the brink of nuclear war. President Eisenhower was forced to acknowledge the operation, but denied direct involvement. This admission did little to calm the tensions between the two superpowers. Instead, it revealed the depth of espionage activities and the unseen tensions simmering beneath the surface. As we continue to explore the American experience during this tumultuous period, it's crucial to understand how these secretive maneuvers shaped our history and the global dynamics of power. Tonight, we've only scratched the surface of this complex story. Join us next time as we delve deeper into the unseen forces that guided our nation through these tense and uncertain times. The VENONA project was initiated to shed light on the hidden operations of the Soviet Union during a period when tensions between the two superpowers were at an all-time high. The decrypted messages showed that the Rosenbergs were part of a larger Soviet spy ring operating within the United States, passing crucial information about American atomic bomb development to Moscow. The VENONA papers provided irrefutable proof of their involvement and played a pivotal role in their conviction and subsequent execution. These discoveries highlighted the political maneuvers within American intelligence to combat Soviet infiltration and the lengths to which the United States went to protect its secrets. By the end of the project, it was clear that the Soviet Union had maintained a sophisticated spy presence in the United States, using various agents and methods to gather sensitive information. The VENONA project's revelations not only exposed past espionage, but also shaped future intelligence strategies and counter-espionage efforts. In the summer of 1976, an unassuming German diplomat named Günther Guillaume found himself in a compromising position. He was photographed with his mistress, Countess Anne-Marie von Thaden-Triglav, in a hotel room, engaged in an activity that would be shocking to any high-ranking official. The images were taken by the East German secret police, the Stasi, as part of a sophisticated honey trap operation called Rosenholz. The goal was to entrap Western diplomats and spies using the oldest trick in the book, seduction. Anne-Marie was not just a willing participant, she was a skilled operative, recruited and trained by the Stasi to seduce high-ranking officials. She and her colleagues were part of a broader strategy by the East German intelligence to gather intelligence through unconventional means. The images were used to blackmail Guillaume into becoming a double agent, feeding valuable information back to the East Germans. This tactic, known as the Honeypot scandal, was not isolated to East Germany. It was a common tool used by both sides during the Cold War. The Cold War was a time of great tension and espionage, where covert operations and political maneuvers were essential tools in the game of global power. In the heat of the Cold War, Hollywood was swept up in a wave of suspicion and paranoia that would forever alter the landscape of American filmmaking. The Red Scare in Hollywood, as it came to be known, cast a long shadow over the industry, blacklisting many talented individuals and stifling creative expression. Prominent figures like Charlie Chaplin found themselves under scrutiny, their politics and associations put under a microscope. The case of Dalton Trumbo is particularly illuminating. Once one of the highest-paid screenwriters in Hollywood, he was subpoenaed by the House Un-American Activities Committee, HWAC, and eventually blacklisted. Trumbo's struggle to maintain his career is a testament to the resilience of those who refused to be silenced during this dark period. The impact of these blacklists extended far beyond individual careers. Entire genres and themes were suppressed, creating a void in American film history that we still grapple with today. By the end of the Red Scare, Hollywood had lost much of its creative and political vitality, a sobering reminder of how political maneuvers can shape societal dynamics in profound ways. But the story does not end there. Many blacklisted individuals eventually saw their careers revived, and the industry began to grapple with its own dark past. As we dive deeper into this chapter, you will see how the Red Scare in Hollywood is not just a historical footnote, but a powerful lens through which to understand the broader political and cultural tensions of the Cold War era. In the spring of 1951, 5 men vanished from their homes in Cambridge, England. They were Kim Philby, Donald MacLean, Guy Burgess, Anthony Blunt, and John Cairncross. Known collectively as the Cambridge Spies, They left behind a trail of secrets that would shake the very foundations of the Western world's intelligence community. Their disappearance set off a chain reaction that would eventually reveal one of the most damaging spy rings in history. These men were not just ordinary spies. They held high-ranking positions within British intelligence and were trusted confidants of top officials. Kim Philby was the most notorious among them, serving as a senior member in British intelligence during World War II and later working closely with the CIA. Donald Maclean was a high-ranking diplomat who had access to some of Britain's most sensitive information. Guy Burgess was also in the Foreign Service and served as an intermediary between intelligence agencies. Anthony Blunt, an art historian with deep connections in the royal family, was the Queen's trusted advisor on art acquisitions. John Cairncross worked within the Government Code and Cipher School, responsible for breaking Germany's Enigma codes during the war. Their betrayal was so profound that it called into question the very stability of Western intelligence operations. How did these men manage to infiltrate British intelligence undetected for decades? Their recruitment began during their days at Cambridge University, where they were approached by Soviet intelligence agents who saw potential in these young idealists. The VENONA project, a collection of decrypted Soviet cables declassified in the 1990s, confirmed that Burgess and Maclean were indeed working for the KGB. Philby, known as the Third Man, was suspected but never conclusively proven to be a spy. His evasive actions and eventual defection to the Soviet Union only solidified these suspicions. Blunt confessed his role in 1964 but was granted immunity from prosecution in exchange for cooperating with the MI5. Cairncross was not discovered until 1951 and admitted to his espionage activities. Their collective damage was immense, compromising some of the West's most critical intelligence operations. Their story illustrates how unseen tensions within Allied countries influenced global power dynamics during the Cold War era. The delicate balance of trust and loyalty was shattered by these spies, leaving a lasting impact on intelligence operations worldwide. Despite the passage of time, the legacy of the Cambridge spies serves as a stark reminder of the complexities and deceptions that can undermine even the most trusted institutions. In the waning days of World War II, a top-secret operation unfolded that would shape the future of technology and space exploration in America. This covert mission, known as Operation Paperclip, involved the clandestine recruitment of German scientists who would play pivotal roles in Nazi Germany's military efforts. Among these scientists was Wernher von Braun, a brilliant rocket engineer whose work on the V2 rocket had terrorized London during the Blitz. The United States saw an opportunity in these German minds, a chance to gain a strategic edge in the burgeoning Cold War. Von Braun and others were smuggled into the United States under cloak of secrecy, their true identities hidden from both the public and many government officials. They brought with them an arsenal of knowledge that would revolutionize American technology. Under the guidance of Frank Wisner, a key figure in Operation Mockingbird, these scientists were integrated into various US military and space programs. Their expertise would eventually lead to groundbreaking advancements, including the development of the Saturn V rocket that launched American astronauts to the moon. But this operation was not without its controversies. Many of these scientists had deep ties to Nazi ideology and were responsible for war crimes. The question remains, was the pursuit of technological advantage worth the moral compromises made in Operation Paperclip? Take a moment to consider the implications of these actions, how they echo through modern times and continue to influence our understanding of ethics in the pursuit of scientific progress. By the end of tonight's journey, you will have a deeper appreciation for the intricate and often fraught paths that led to some of America's most significant technological achievements. And with that understanding, we can better navigate the complexities of our present and future, drawing lessons from a past that is both inspiring and troubling. In the shadow of World War II, a clandestine organization was born, its purpose so secret that even its name was shrouded in mystery. The Office of Strategic Services, OSS, was conceived to wage a battle not on open fields, but in the shadows of espionage and subterfuge. Established in 1942 by President Roosevelt himself, the OSS was tasked with gathering intelligence and carrying out covert operations behind enemy lines. Its first missions were daring escapades into occupied Europe, where agents parachuted into enemy territory to make contact with local resistance groups and gather vital information. Among its early successes was Operation Torch in North Africa, where OSS agents played a crucial role in gathering intelligence for the Allied invasion. But the OSS was more than just a military intelligence outfit. It also pioneered psychological warfare and sabotage techniques that would later become staples of the Cold War. The groundwork for modern espionage had been laid, and the OSS's legacy would continue to echo through the covert operations of the Cold War. By the end of this story, you will understand how these early missions set the stage for an era of global tensions and unseen maneuvers that would shape the world as we know it. The U-2 was a sleek, silver aircraft designed to fly at extreme altitudes, up to 70,000 feet, far beyond the reach of Soviet surface-to-air missiles. Its primary mission? To capture photographs of strategic targets within the Soviet Union. On May 1, 1960, one such flight ended in disaster. Francis Gary Powers, a CIA pilot flying the U-2, was shot down over Soviet airspace. The incident sparked international outrage and tension between the United States and the Soviet Union. The ensuing diplomatic fallout led to the Paris summit in 1960. The downing of Powers' U-2 was a stark reminder of the risks associated with espionage tools and their potential to escalate international tensions. Despite the dangers, both superpowers continued to employ such tools throughout the Cold War era. The story of the U-2 serves as a poignant example of how the use of sophisticated spy technology can exacerbate political and military tensions. By the end of the Cold War, both the United States and the Soviet Union had come to understand that such covert operations carried significant risks, not only for individual operatives, but also for global stability. The VENONA project involved decrypting Soviet intelligence messages that had been intercepted during World War II. These messages provided crucial evidence of Soviet spying activities that had been ongoing throughout the war. The VENONA papers, as they came to be known, revealed a network of Soviet agents who had infiltrated various parts of the United States. Among these agents were high-ranking officials in the US, government and military. The revelations from the VENONA project had profound implications for US counterintelligence efforts. It highlighted the need to be vigilant against foreign threats and led to the adoption of more stringent security measures. In the murky waters of Cold War espionage, one technique stood out for its audacity and effectiveness: the honeypot strategy. Soviet spies mastered the art of seduction, not just to extract information, but to plant disinformation and manipulate targets. One of their most famous honeypots was Marilyn Monroe. While she was known for her glamour and movie roles, few knew the extent of her involvement in espionage activities. Her relationships with powerful figures were often orchestrated to gather intelligence and spread misinformation. The KGB used her as a pawn in their grand chess game of deception. Monroe's death was surrounded by conspiracy theories, many pointing to foul play orchestrated by her Soviet handlers. The honeypot strategy wasn't just about glamour, it was a sophisticated tool of manipulation and deceit. The Cold War era brought espionage paranoia to Hollywood, transforming it into a battleground where every script and every production office were suspect. The atmosphere of mistrust was amplified by the Blacklist, a secretive list of actors, writers, and directors who were accused of communist sympathies. This dark period cast a long shadow over the industry, leaving a lasting impact that is still felt today. The Blacklist was not just a list of names, it was a silent force that reshaped careers and silenced voices. Actors like Charlie Chaplin were targeted, their reputations tarnished by unfounded allegations. Films were altered or banned entirely, leaving a void in American culture that can never be fully filled. Many of the most iconic films from this era bear the scars of political interference. Classic movies like The Man Who Knew Too Much and High Noons were rewritten to remove any hint of communist influence, transforming them into something unrecognizable. The chill of the Cold War had infiltrated every aspect of American life, altering not just what was seen on screen, but how it was perceived off-screen as well. The human cost of this period is immeasurable. Actors and directors saw their careers crumble, scripts were rewritten or shelved indefinitely, and the creative spirit of an entire generation was stifled. Yet, amidst all the darkness, there were those who stood against the tide. Director John Huston refused to name names, even when subpoenaed by the House Un-American Activities Committee, HQH. His defiance marked him as a beacon of resistance in an era of silence. Turning the corner on this dark chapter meant confronting the truth head-on. It required acknowledging the damage done and the lives affected, and understanding how political maneuvers had reshaped American culture. This period was a stark reminder of how deep political tensions can run, shaping not just policy, but every aspect of life in America. As the story of the Blacklist and its impact on Hollywood unfolds, take a moment to breathe in the weight of this history. It is not just about movies or political tensions, it is about the people whose lives were forever changed by the whims of a paranoid era. By understanding how espionage paranoia shaped Hollywood, we can begin to appreciate the depths of political maneuvers during the Cold War. This is not just a story of movies, it is a mirror reflecting the broader struggles and silences of an era that still echoes in American culture today. In the end, the resolution comes not from any single act or decision, but from a collective reckoning with the past. It means acknowledging the harm done and the lives affected, and working to ensure that such a chilling period never repeats itself in American history. In the spring of 1943, a body washed up on the shores of Spain, carrying secrets that would shape the course of World War II. This was no ordinary corpse. It was part of a daring deception operation, orchestrated by British intelligence. The body carried false papers and a briefcase with misleading documents, all designed to fool German intelligence. British officers had meticulously planned this elaborate ruse to divert German attention from the real landing sites in Sicily. The Cambridge Five were a group of British spies who passed crucial information to the Soviet Union during this time. Their motivations were complex, but many of them were driven by ideological sympathies with the Soviet Union. This act of espionage had far-reaching consequences on Anglo-American relations and the overall trajectory of the war. The story of the Cambridge Five is a stark reminder of how covert operations and political maneuvers can shape history. And it shows that the complex web of espionage and diplomacy is not just a game of chess played by distant powers. It touches the lives and futures of countless individuals on both sides of the conflict. In the aftermath of World War II, as the world struggled to make sense of the chaos left behind, the United States undertook a secret operation known as Operation Paperclip. It was an audacious plan that would recruit German scientists who had worked on Nazi war efforts and bring them into America's own research programs. Among those recruited were key figures like Wernher von Braun, the lead engineer behind the V-2 rocket which had rained destruction on London during the Blitz. His expertise was deemed invaluable for America's nascent space program. Von Braun and his team played a crucial role in developing the Saturn V rocket, which launched Apollo 11 on its historic journey to the moon. The ethical implications of this decision were complex. By employing former enemies in the pursuit of scientific advancements, America was essentially leveraging their knowledge while trying to distance itself from their past actions. This practice underscores the political maneuvers that often necessitate working with former adversaries in pursuit of greater goals. Sleep well, knowing that even in the shadows of history, there are stories yet to be fully understood. It's the dead of night in January 1920, and a series of raids are about to shake America to its core. These aren't just any raids, they are led by Attorney General A. Mitchell Palmer himself. The targets? Radicals, anarchists, communists, anyone suspected of being a threat to national security. Tonight, you will discover how these early 20th century raids set the stage for the Red Scares that would come to define the Cold War era. The Palmer Raids, as they would come to be known, were a response to a series of bombings that had rattled the nation. In June 1919, a bomb exploded outside Attorney General Palmer's house in Washington, D.C., shattering windows and causing panic. In May of the same year, explosive packages had been mailed to prominent figures like Senator Thomas W. Hardwick and Supreme Court Justice Oliver Wendell Holmes, Jr. The packages never reached their intended recipients, but the fear they instilled was real. In this atmosphere of fear and unrest, Palmer saw an opportunity to crack down on what he perceived as a growing communist threat within the US. The raids were swift and sweeping. Agents descended upon cities across the country, arresting thousands of suspected radicals without warrants. The sheer scale and brutality of the operation sent shockwaves through American society. The impact on civil liberties was profound. Arrests were made without due process, and many of those detained were held for extended periods without trial. These early raids set a dangerous precedent, establishing a template for future Red Scares and the erosion of civil liberties that would continue to haunt America throughout the Cold War. As you dive deeper into the history of the Cold War, remember that these early moments shaped the paranoia and political maneuvers that would come to define the era. This is where it all began. A nation on edge, an attorney general determined to silence dissent, and a series of raids that would leave their mark on the fabric of American history. In the United States of the 1950s, a spectre loomed over the halls of power and military command, the fear of communist infiltrators. This was no ordinary paranoia, it had a name, the Lavender Scare. The government believed Soviet agents were using mind control to blackmail gay individuals into spying for them. In this climate of fear and suspicion, the mere perception of being gay was enough to lose one's job, freedom, or even life. The persecution was particularly brutal in the military and government, where the risk of blackmail by Soviet agents seemed most acute. One notable case was that of Charles Bolin, a high-ranking diplomat who was accused of being gay and thus vulnerable to blackmail. Despite a lack of concrete evidence, Bolin's career was tarnished by these allegations. The impact of this fear extended beyond the individuals targeted. It created a climate of distrust and suspicion within the government. By the end of this period, thousands of people had lost their livelihoods and reputations. This climate illustrates how unseen tensions and political maneuvers created a climate of fear and suspicion within the government. In the year 1975, Frank Olson's son Eric sought answers about his father's mysterious death in 1953. What he uncovered would expose the hidden depths of Cold War intrigue and the CIA's covert operations. Involved in MK-Ultra, Frank Olson's death in 1953 remained shrouded in controversy. Eric's quest for truth revealed a tale of high-stakes political maneuvers and unseen tensions. The family's struggle for transparency exposed the far-reaching consequences of covert operations. As Frank Olson's story unfolded, it became clear that unseen tensions and clandestine activities had profound implications. By the end of his journey, Eric Olson would understand something almost nobody does: the tragic consequences of unseen operations during the Cold War. The CIA's MK-Ultra program, despite its termination in the early 1970s, left a lasting legacy of distrust and suspicion.